call the regular scheduled meeting of the Alexander County Board of Commissioners to order for October the 7th, 2013. And the first thing we have on the agenda is the invocation. It will be Darrell Robertson, if everyone will please stand.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we begin this day, we were impressed with the power of nature, with the rain and the storms that pass through this area. And as we pause, we understand not only is nature under your control, but also the affairs of men. And as we pause this evening, we'd ask that your wisdom might be with those who are elected to govern, whether in Washington, in Raleigh, or even in Alexander County. We would ask that all elected officials might be given the wisdom to make decisions that are in the benefit of the people being governed. Father, we'd ask that not only that your strength be with them, but we'd also ask that your protection be with those who are in service to this country, whether in a local capacity, a national capacity, or in foreign areas. Father, we pray that your protection might be with all who are providing for our protection. Now we ask that you be with us as we go through this meeting. May our decisions be made for the benefit of the citizens of Alexander County. In our most hallowed name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item that is not on the agenda, but Chad Ritchie, if you will come out of the booth and come down to the podium, please. Yes, you, Chad.
Surprise.
And don't wonder about why there's a group gathering at the front to get you when you get here, Chad.
The chairperson of the Alexander County Veterans Committee, Ginger Annis, who is also the County Veteran Service Officer, has a plaque that we want to award Chad. So, Ginger, I'm going to walk down, and if you don't mind, and you go ahead and read the plaque.
Okay. As y'all know, we've been doing our History, Our Heroes for the last 2 years. The interview is the easy part. The hard part is what Chad gets to do. He's behind the scenes and always working hard. So Chad, for our History, Our Heroes, to Chad Ritchie, in grateful appreciation for your devotion, professionalism, and dedication to detail in preserving the military history and experience for Alexander County veterans. And it's the Alexander County Veterans Committee 2013.
Cool, thank you.
For you.
Thanks.
Do you want to get a better picture for the paper? Come on, Chad.
Where you want us to get?
Don't be bashful.
I think they're afraid.
Tall guys in the back? There we go. Three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you.
Ginger, before you sit down,
Good job, son.
you mentioned the program. Would you fill the public in a little bit on what you're doing in case there's somebody that listens to or sees this meeting and they have a relative who has been in service and may not be aware of what you're doing? Would you explain that just a little bit, please, ma'am?
What we're doing is trying to interview as many of the Alexander County veterans as we can that have served in the military. They don't have to have served during wartime. But anybody that has served in the military has a story. And we're trying to preserve that history because they don't teach it in school anymore. And a lot of families, when their loved one passes on, they didn't get the story of them being in the military. So we're trying to capture that. We put DVDs in the libraries at the school. The veteran gets a copy of the DVD, and the public library gets a copy as well. So we're just trying to preserve that history. So far, we've done 40 interviews. It's an ongoing project. We'll talk to people as long as they'll talk to us.
And if anybody has a relative or a friend, if they'll call you at the county
Yes,
office?
they can call me at the Alexander County Administration Building. My number's 632-5411. And just call me and we'll get them set up for an interview. We normally do the interviews in the history room at the public library. That works out really well. You don't have to worry about weather and, you know, that kind of stuff. And it's just a real small room, and you can, you know, it's just like talking just any conversation. It's nothing to be nervous about, you know. It's just, we just want to preserve the history as much as we can.
Darrell, I'm glad you asked the question too. Junior, you can attest to this. Some of the World War II veterans we've already recorded have passed away since we recorded them.
Yes, absolutely. I think we've lost 3, maybe 4 of the World War II veterans that we have gotten recorded. So had we not been doing this program, and I hate we didn't start it sooner, but had we not been doing that, those stories would have been gone.
Thank you
ma'am.
very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Commissioner's Report. Does any commissioner have anything they want to present? Darrell, you have anything?
No, sir.
Larry? I've got one thing. On November the 11th, we have, since we're on a veterans topic, we have a Veterans Day ceremony out at the Alexander Central Auditorium beginning at 10:30. And we have obtained an excellent keynote speaker. I have his resume in front of me. He's an attorney in Statesville, but he retired after 35 years with the Army as a major general. And I've got about 4 pages of his resume here. I'm not going to read all the things that he accomplished and did while he was in the military. We also are doing it in cooperation with the Naval Junior ROTC, who have a tremendous part in the program. So what I would encourage you, everybody to attend that's listening and watching and here tonight. And again, that's on November the 11th, beginning at 10:30. So again, at the auditorium. And of course, we've asked for, I've talked to Mike, and we're going to put some advertisements in the newspaper to let everybody know about it too. The next thing I want to mention very briefly, some of you may know this young lady. I do not know her, but her name is Tanisha Watts. And there is a network TV program called The Voice. It's on NBC at 8 o'clock tonight. And Tanisha, and I'm not sure if she still lives in Taylorsville. I know her mother does. She worked at First Citizens Bank. But she is competing on the program at 8 o'clock. So I would encourage you, if you would want to go home and watch that program. I think I watched it last week for 2 hours. My brother told me she was going to be on there last week, and I kept looking for her, and she never was on there. But he assured me that she was going to be on there tonight. So I think it's good to have some positive aspects of people that grow up in Alexander County to compete on a program that's shown nationally. So I wanted to mention that. Any other comments from anybody? If not, the next thing is the adoption of the agenda. We have the agenda in front of us. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
One moment.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, we need to add under consent agenda surplus van.
Yes, I've got that.
Okay.
So we have amended the agenda under the consent agenda. It's item D, and you
Right.
can write it on your agenda. It's a surplus van that the county needs to auction off. So that would be a change to the agenda.
Move to approve as amended.
Second. And all in favor, raise your right hand. The next item, I must mention too, before I go any further, you'll notice that there's only 3 of us here tonight. Judy and Ryan are out of town and are not here. It's not because they're late, they're just not going to be here tonight, but we have 3 of us, and so that's a quorum, so we're going to proceed. The next thing on the agenda is the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Public comment.
Item 1.
Oh, yes, public comment, excuse me. Public comment period, and Kathy Riddle, I think you're on the agenda for public comment. Getting ahead of myself.
Good evening. I am Kathy Riddle, and I'm here for the Citizens for the Future of Alexander County. CFAC wants to hear from you again. Last month, the Citizens for the Future of Alexander County asked for your ideas to boost the Alexander County economy, and you delivered. Citizens presented lots of ideas at the September forum. With that information now gathered and compiled, CFAC wants to hear from you again to discuss how to proceed and begin the next step in this process to rebuild Alexander County's economy. Our next meeting is this Thursday at 7 p.m. That's October 10th in this room here at CVCC. It's the one you don't want to miss. This is an important process to shape Alexander County's economy and make it strong again. So be here on Thursday, October 10th at 7 p.m. in this room, room 103, here at the Alexander campus. You'll be glad you came. Come, participate, get involved in helping to shape the culture and improve the climate of your county. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And I didn't realize you were going to be here tonight, but already had it. And if no one was here to talk about it, I was going to read it. Thank you very much. Now, we'll get back on track. Item number 2 on the agenda is the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners video updating commissioners on steering committees and how they can participate. And I have some verbiage I can read. This video includes an introduction from NCACC President Ray Jeffers and features NCACC staff updating commissioners on steering committees and how commissioners can participate. It also gives an overview of an upcoming seminar on the Affordable Care Act and how it affects counties. So Chad, if you're ready.
Hello, I'm Person County Vice Chairman Ray Jeffers and President of the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. I would like to invite you to join me in helping the NCACC represent the interests of all 100 counties. Our organization is only as strong as our members, and we need every county to be engaged. There are many ways you can get involved with our organization.
Thanks, President Jeffers. The NCACC has been advocating for counties for more than 100 years. And along the way, we have found that the best advocates for county government are you, our local elected officials. That's why we'd like to make it easy for you to help us achieve your goals at the General Assembly. Legislative Counsel Sam Skinner is going to tell you about how you can become involved.
One of the best ways for county commissioners to get involved is to serve on one of our 7 steering committees. The steering committees provide guidance and recommendation to the board of directors in 7 policy areas. They're agriculture, environment, general government, health and human services, justice and public safety, public education, and tax and finance. The committees meet quarterly and will consider information on emerging county-related issues. Each steering committee will be meeting in October, and I hope you will consider serving on a committee. You can sign up for a steering committee on our website.
The association does a lot more than advocate for county interests. Another part of our mission is to provide education and training for county commissioners and county staff. Associate Director of Education Jason King is going to tell you more about an exciting opportunity we have coming up in October.
On October 15th, the NCACC will sponsor a seminar on the implementation of the Affordable Care Act and its impacts on county government. This day-long seminar is free and will be held at the Sheraton Hotel in Orange County. We will bring policy experts from the National Association of Counties and other organizations to discuss with county officials the steps that counties need to be considering to make sure they are ready for this change. Elected officials can learn about the policy implications, and staff can learn about the details of implementing the Affordable Care Act. Counties will be impacted by the ACA in numerous ways, as employers, as providers of public health services, and as administrators of the state's Medicaid program. This seminar will help counties understand the issues that could come up as the ACA becomes law. I hope to see you in Orange County on October 15th. For more information about this seminar, please visit our website at the address on your screen.
Thanks, Jason. Another way that we provide services to counties is through our risk management pools. You might not know that the NCACC is the #1 provider of insurance for workers' compensation and liability and property for North Carolina's county governments. Amy Basin, our General Counsel, is here to explain.
The risk management pools were created to help counties and county entities better manage the costs associated with liability and property insurance and workers' compensation insurance. Our programs are specifically tailored to meet the unique needs of county government. We also provide an extensive risk control service to help members reduce their costs by identifying and eliminating potential risks. If you would like to learn more about our pools, please visit the NCACC website and click on the Risk Management tab.
As you can see, the NCACC does a lot for our counties. I hope you will join me this year as we seek to make the NCACC an even more valuable partner for all 100 counties.
The next item on the agenda is agreement between Western Piedmont Council of Governments and Alexander County for the provision of technical assistance and update to the Dusty Ridge Park, and County Manager Rick French.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your package, you have a copy of the agreement between the county and the Western Piedmont Council of Government to provide technical assistance for Dusty Ridge Park. The work with Alexander County will be with the GIS to develop a map showing proposed changes at Dusty Ridge Park. Work with the Alexander County GIS to accurately map the existing trail at the park, develop an addendum to the current plan that we have at Dusty Ridge, attend and present the addendum at the public information meeting that we'll have at our next meeting, and correspond and work with Duke Energy staff to obtain acceptance of that plan. The county has a long-term lease with Duke Energy. The total price for providing the services not to exceed $800. And again, it's to basically update the Dusty Ridge Park plan. One of the items that we'll add and we've looked at to try to find grant funds is disc golf at Dusty Ridge Park. I'll be glad to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Does anybody have any questions?
Rick, on page 2, there's a time of performance. This work's to begin August 28th and complete October 15th.
That was,
Do we need to extend that October 15th, or can they do it by then?
that date will have to be extended.
Do you
We just don't have a date for that yet.
Okay.
And you're waiting on Duke Power for that date, is that not correct?
That's correct.
That's what I thought. And this program will be in conjunction with Duke Power and the,
And the FERC licensing. Yes, sir.
all right. It'd be nice to know whenever you get the, everything done, to bring back and let the citizens know what Duke Power is looking to happen at Dusty Ridge and the improvements they make. I know at one time they were talking about actually having a swimming facility down there for the citizens. And that was in the long-term goal, though, not necessarily gonna happen tomorrow.
Right.
But, I know that whenever the lease was done several years ago, that's what happened. That's what the discussion was at that time.
And once we get it finished, we'll bring the plan back to the commissioners to
Very
report.
good.
Rick, with that time of performance, we just change that last date ending per Duke Energy direction? That way,
Yes, sir, that's fine.
it'll be in line with what takes place?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And Mr. Yoder, just to clarify, the swimming thing is to create a public beach down there.
Public beach area,
Yeah.
that's correct, yeah.
Any other comments?
Move to approve with the addition of Commissioner Robertson's statement to add to that.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved. Number 4, Josh Mitchell, announcement of Clean Alexander County Day being held on October 26, 2013.
Good evening, Commissioners. Wanted to come tonight to say that Saturday, October 26th, has been designated Clean Alexander Day. Alexander County citizens will be allowed to dispose of their trash at convenience sites and at the landfill for no charge. The operating hours of the convenience centers and the landfill will be extended to 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, October 26th only. The convenience centers will only accept bagged household trash, and the landfill will not accept any liquid material, hazardous material, or any material containing asbestos. All citizens are urged to take part in the countywide cleanup day. For further information, you can please contact my office at 632-1101, the scale house at landfill, 632-9467, or you can email me any questions at jmitchell@alexandercountync.gov. I want to encourage everybody to take part, clean out the old storage sheds, the garage, things like that. Want to discourage people from piling up garbage from now until that date. It's not what it's for. It's for cleaning up, you know, something you've been wanting to get rid of for a while, not to pile your garbage up for a month and take it off for free on that day.
Josh, this does not include shredded.
No,
Okay.
this is
to
just
clarify.
free at the landfill convenience centers.
Okay.
That's about all we can handle
Okay.
that day.
And one more time, say the thou shalt not bring, because there'll be people in line trying to turn around if,
The convenience centers are only bagged household garbage, and then we don't take any liquid material, any hazardous material, or any material containing asbestos at the landfill or the convenience sites. And it's Saturday, October 26th, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Mitchell, thank you very much. Item number 5 on the agenda, public notice waiver of bids for ambulance, and Bradley Earp, EMS Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here tonight to bring a proposal for the exception to the formal bidding process. We were extended the opportunity to follow the piggyback type procedure for an ambulance purchase. And Davidson County actually formally bid this truck out a few months ago, and that Northwestern Emergency Vehicles extended that same price to us. And that way we can still get the same type of ambulance that we've been getting all along. So what I'm asking tonight is for the board to give their approval to forego the formal bid process and do the piggyback exception. And also give me permission to proceed with contract negotiations with Northwestern Emergency Vehicles for the purchase of a Type 3 ambulance.
And Bradley, the purpose of this is to get a better price.
Right, it keeps the pricing lower. This truck here actually come in a little less than what the last truck that we bought. And it's basically a same truck that we purchased a few months ago. It's going to be basically a sister truck to the one we just purchased
Okay.
in April.
Any other commissioner have any questions?
Total
Have the
price,
Oh, excuse me, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay.
total price, $119,231.
Yes.
And there's in that $2,975 for lettering, striping, and graphics. Is there any possibility there's anybody local that could do that work?
Well, the amount of striping that goes on those things, when they've got it up there in the paint shop, it's usually cheaper because it's reflective striping and it's pretty expensive. We bought some locally for some other vehicles, and it was fairly expensive. And if they do it there, it's consistent with the same lettering that we've had on our other trucks. I don't know if anybody would really be willing to tackle that kind of project. I've went to a couple vendors just on a recent project, and they didn't want to tackle nothing very large at all.
Do you have any other questions?
I'm just thinking, go ahead.
Ms. Yo, you
I'm
have-
good. I'm good.
Do I hear a motion to approve the purchase of this vehicle?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the $119,231 to be piggyback with the proposal as presented. And that's $2,975 for lettering and striping. I'd also like to add that Bradley needs to double check to make sure whether there's any options to do that locally.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Bradley, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item number 6 is North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund Project Agreement, Rocky Face Park Phase 2, County Manager Rick French.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have received the agreements for Rocky Face Park Phase 2, approving the grant. In order for us to move forward, we need to get the board to approve this. It's the same thing that we had discussed when we were doing our budget. The agreement is good for 36 months, and it's for $225,000 in round numbers with a match of $225,000.
Just for clarification purposes, should we approve this, under no way or any circumstance would the money be spent at this time? Is that correct?
There'll have to be budget amendments being brought back to the commissioner for any action taken.
Just for public?
Yes, sir.
Just so the public will know that the money's not being spent at this time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And just to reemphasize, we do have, if we decide to appropriate the money, we have 36 months to appropriate the money.
That's correct.
And that's from what date?
From October, the October date, October 1st, I guess.
Okay, okay. Anybody else have any other questions?
Just, no, I'm just curious, Rick, does any of this money come back from the federal government?
No, sir. No.
All state, all right.
Yes, sir.
Move to approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item number 7, sales tax report and 2014-2015 budget forecast. County Manager Rick French.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Each month, we update the board on sales tax, and this month, we're given we show 1 month of sales tax in the 2013-2014 fiscal year. Our first month, we collected $280,485. That last year, we collected $325,018 for that same time period, or a loss of $44,533. Also, we always discuss the Article 42 sales tax hold harmless set aside for school construction and debt service, and at this time, that stands at $35,065. So we're not getting off to a great start. So each month, we'll bring this back to you, and you have the breakdown with Article 39, the county portion of Article 40, and Article 44, and Article 46. So we collected $280,485 for our first month, and again, that's behind last year's numbers. In conjunction with that, during the end of the 2013-2014 budget process, there was some discussion by commissioners about the fund balance and how it equated and related to a possible tax increase as we look ahead. And just to sort of start talking about this now, and we've talked about this at one of our work sessions, at the end of June 30th, 2013, we're projecting our fund balance to be about $7.5 million in round numbers. We budgeted $3.2 million out of fund balance to go in this year's budget, which at the end of the year, if you spend all that fund balance, which we know we will not, but if we spend all that $3.2 million, our fund balance at the end of this budget year would be $4.3 million. That certainly would require a tax increase in the 2014-2015 budget. The big item there, which we've talked about, is the cost of the law enforcement and detention center project. The total cost of that project is $3.5 million. That's $1 million worth of debt and $2.5 million to operate the facility. Back several years ago, when we first started the project, we set aside, we budgeted 4 cents. We had a 4-cent tax increase to cover the debt service, and there was discussion at that time about additional costs, but that's what we budgeted, and that covers the debt. That still gives $2.5 million of operational cost, keeping in mind that the operating the jail before cost the county about $1 million, but about $400,000 of that $1 million was transferring prisoners to other counties, to Caldwell County in particular, and eventually Allegheny County. But so we're at least $1.5 million at a loss that year, and that's not something our fund balance can take. We won't be able. Our fund balance will be around 8% or less, and we can't operate that way in county government with that kind of fund balance. As a part of that, we budgeted around $750,000 worth of revenue for the law enforcement and detention center. Well, actually, the detention center, Caldwell County is going to start delivering prisoners to us later this month. There's an agreement that's being reviewed. Caldwell County will send us 35 prisoners later this month, so we'll be housing 35 folks, and that's good, but that will not give us the numbers that we need, so unless something changes, we'll have a loss on the revenue side, but we'll be optimistic at this time. I just wanted to start the discussion with the commissioners that we'll need at least 6 to 8 cents next year in a tax increase to operate the general fund. And again, that's just looking at the jail portion and the law enforcement portion based on the numbers I just gave you. So just want to start that conversation earlier. We're going to have a number of budget work sessions and discuss these items. There's a lot of things that go into this, but we know these numbers concerning the law enforcement and detention center are pretty solid numbers. So just want to bring those up at this time, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
So at this time, Mr. French, what you're saying is that 6 to 8 cents, you're saying if you raise the tax at 6 to 8 cents, that is just for operational cost of maintaining the general fund, correct?
That's correct. If next year you did that in your budget, really that'd be nothing else. All that would do is that would go towards the operation of that facility, and it would add nothing else. I mean, so you'd basically do that to cover your operational cost.
So if we pull $3.2 million out of our fund balance, which would bring it down to $4.3 million, in order to get that money back into our fund balance so that we would be able to borrow money and do the things that we need to do through the local government council, through LGC, what would be your recommendation at that time for a tax increase?
Well, I guess when we get a little closer, could give you a better estimate, but at this time, I would say 6 to 8 cents would be a pretty conservative number as regard to that. Again, we budgeted $3.2 million out of fund balance to balance our budget. And remember, there's a number of projects that we basically put on hold that will save us some funds if we don't undertake those projects during this fiscal year. For example, we budgeted funds to build a new garage. That was about $240,000, $250,000. So if we don't do that, we'll save that money. So just keep those things in mind. But again, the law enforcement and detention center is certainly costing us more to operate. If you just think about $3.5 million and basically $1 million debt service covered and some of the operational costs covered based on previous years, then we're not headed to a good place with our fund balance. So you'll have to replace some of that. There's just no other way around. There's just set costs in operating that facility that we're going to have to address when we get to the budget. And again, we'll have other work sessions that we'll talk more about this, but I wanted to start this conversation.
Well, one other question.
Yes, sir.
Since we're talking about inmates being taken into county jail.
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding that Caldwell County want to reserve 35 beds, whether they have 3 in here or
That's correct.
35 in here. They want to reserve that much.
That's correct.
And I think it'd be a good idea just for the citizens just to hear from the sheriff and
Okay.
ask him if he would come and give an update so that the folks in the county would know what's going on. Ask him if he'd please do that.
You wanted me to ask him if he will come to the November meeting?
I think that would be good, just so the citizens will know what's going on and he can give them an update as it pertains to the law enforcement center.
Okay.
Not the law enforcement center, but to the
Yes, sir.
detention center.
Yes, sir. Okay.
How many prisoners are in there and so forth?
There's around 80 in there currently.
No, but I'm saying from out of county, how many?
0.
No, but I'm saying when he comes to give the update, he could give us an update on where he stands.
Right. And Caldwell will be 35 male prisoners. That'll be a big plus for us.
Yeah.
Right, because we said no females, I believe. That's what we talked about.
Yes,
That's
sir.
correct.
Rick, when you were going over the numbers for fund balance from end of year, this year, and the budget and so on,
Yes, sir.
that 3.2 million fund balance for this year did not reflect the revenue, we had anticipated revenue from the operation of the jail facility.
That's correct.
So that deficit, unless we do start raising some revenue, that deficit will be greater when we get to the end of the year than the 3.2 million that you
Yes, sir.
noted here.
Yes, sir. We budgeted about $750,000 revenue to house out-of-county inmates. So it's important that we reach that number, exceed that number, get as close to that number as we possibly can. If we're less than that, then that falls into this whole overall situation we're in with our fund balance. So, just if you think about it, if it's, just say round numbers, if it's 500,000, then you're $250,000 less. If it's 900,000, then you're $150,000 to the good. So, and again, this is our first year. We're looking at all the numbers, but I think as much as we've talked and discussed the operation of the law enforcement and detention center, we're getting those costs at a point where we're understanding what those costs truly are. And so as we go into next budget year, it's important that we all understand it costs more to operate that facility. And our fund balance, you can't keep taking $2 to $3 million away from the fund balance, or we'll soon be at 8%. The LGC, the North Carolina Local Government Commission, they want you to have a minimum of 8%, but that's the floor. They really want you to be in line with other counties your own size, which puts us in a 20 to 25% fund balance. So think about it, that number, if your budget is $30 million and then you gotta have 25% of that's gotta be fund balance, you just do the math. So it's a lot to think about, and we look at it all the time. An audit report for the 2012-2013 fiscal year will be presented to the board in December, and I think those numbers will reflect the numbers I just gave you. At the end of June in 2012, our fund balance was about $8.2 or $8.3 million, so our fund balance actually decreased a little bit at the end of last fiscal year. So, but again, just want to start having that discussion.
Well, is this a proper time to ask how the government shutdown is going to affect us as far as our budget's concerned?
Well-
Because I know in transportation needs and some other type things, it's going to affect the budget also.
Well, that's a good question. There's a lot of pieces to that will impact transportation. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to try for the Western Piedmont Regional Transit Authority to gather some ROPE money, which is rural and operating assistance money from the state, which is about $800,000. That would save them. I'm on that board. We met Friday, and it looked like funds were going to run out because of all the shutdown that was going on. But we're hoping that we can get some ROPE money that can help save us. There's a lot of valuable services that are provided to the citizens, so that's one element. There's also how it affects our two departments, our DSS and our health departments, and I've talked to some staff about that, talked to Cindy Holman and Leanne Wisden about that, and we'll get you some more information as we get a little closer. The major concern is if there's no action taken and we get into the next fiscal year, and the federal fiscal year starts in November, So if we get into November, and we'll have major problems then, but we're talking about it and making plans, and we'll provide an update soon.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Robertson, you have any?
So, Rick was pointing out several things that relate to people here in the county who need services, health and DSS, but we also have, our seniors are gonna be impacted if, they don't get things squared away so that, people who rely on Social Security and so on needs to be squared away, period.
Yes.
It could affect the meals for seniors and things like that.
I don't think will affect that, but it might affect the transportation to get to
Yes.
that. Yes, sir.
Yes.
It could.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Next on the agenda, Rick, are you finished with
Yes,
your
sir.
report?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
The next item on the agenda is Budget Ordinance Amendment number 5.
Need to back up number 8, I believe, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me, yes. Board appointments and reappointments, Health Board.
Move to approve.
Do I hear a
I'm sorry.
second?
I guess I'll read it out loud.
Appoint Dr. Thomas Ryder.
I
3
serve
years.
on there with him. He does a good job.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I assumed everybody could see what I was reading. I apologize.
Yeah.
Move to approve Dr. Thomas Ryder for the Health Board.
I'll second.
Do I hear a second? You hear a second? All in favor, raise your right hand. I'll try to keep on track here. I was still looking at the budget figures, blows my mind. Number 9, now we'll go to Budget Ordinance Amendment number 5.
Budget amendment number 5 is to budget for purchase of ice machine and drink cooler for East Park concession stand. The funding is from the Matheson tournament profits from prior years. It's to decrease revenue budget for the Soil and Water Department due to final revenue amounts from the state that are lower than the original estimates for 2013, 2014, and to revise the social services budget for individual revenue line items due to key errors during the 2014 budget process. There is no change in the total budgeted revenue, just a correction in the line item allocation. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions from any of the commissioners?
Move to approve Budget Ordinance Amendment number 5.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
First and second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Item number 10, other business, County Manager Report, County Manager Rick French.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one thing I want to mention. The county has received a $10,000 grant, and we're going to use that. We're going to dismantle and destroy we have actually 2 gas chambers that we use at the animal shelter. One is in storage, the other one is there, and it's barely operated. So tomorrow, those will actually be dismantled and destroyed and sold as scrap metal, and we will be receiving a $10,000 grant to help us with the euthanasia program that'll go on from that point. But we will no longer have a gas chamber at the shelter, at the Alexander County Animal Shelter.
That's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
That is a good thing. Any other things to report?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
The next thing is consent agenda, and we have added item D to that is the surplus van. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Next, I would entertain a motion to adjourn into closed session. Closed session, North Carolina Government Statute 143-318.11, parentheses A, parentheses 1, comma 2, comma 4, comma 5, and 6, to prevent disclosure of confidential information, degrees, prizes, or awards, economic development, contractual, and personnel. Do I hear a vote in favor of moving into closed session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I will second that, but I need to ask Mr. French a question before we take the vote and adjourn.
Sure, please go ahead.
The program for social services, North Carolina Fast Track, I believe it's called, is, the one that the computer program's on,
Right.
that the state was having so much trouble with. I know it's not on the agenda, but I'd just like to sort of know how that stands so that the people out here will know if it's better than it was.
What?
Because it was extremely difficult getting through, and the computers, and they were training people, and doing everything? I mean, if you don't mind, I hate to bring
Cindy
it up, but
come up and let her
if
come
you don't
up.
mind, I think so, because I mean, it just dawned on me, and I had a conversation about it earlier today.
While Cindy's coming up to the microphone, I believe there's a meeting in General Assembly Personnel and Department of Health and Human Services tomorrow in Raleigh. This is one of the things that's on their agenda to go
Right.
over, fast track, and then there's another program that works just as well, and then there's some other issues too, but.
I think you're probably looking at NC Fast, which is our
Right.
automated
That's it.
system for
Yes,
the
ma'am.
economic programs. And then there's also NC Tracks, which is for, it's our billing system for the adult services programs, but CAP billing. Is it better? It is better. Is it fixed? It's not fixed. We still have a lot of issues with it. The system has a lot of problems. We're working through that together. I will tell you that our staff have worked a lot of hours, a lot of overtime hours. They continue to do so. We rolled Medicaid. We first had food nutrition services on the system. We rolled Medicaid October the 1st. And so far, we are maintaining it. The system is not accepting all applications that we're putting in. There are new applications under Medicaid in the Magi system that we cannot get them to go. But as far as trying to serve our clients, we're still holding steady. Now, there are a lot of counties in the state that have a serious backlog, and you've seen that on television. You've seen.
I was in a meeting with the Secretary of Health. About the same situation. That's why I was asking.
I will not tell you that we don't have any cases that are behind, but we certainly are not in the same shape as any of our neighbors. And that's no reflection on them. I think everybody's working as hard as they possibly can. We are small. We have a really dedicated staff that's willing to work a lot of overtime. We have hired some part-time folks that come in on nights and weekends and work. And we have had supervisors, Trina Riddle, Matt Reese, have really put in a lot of hours and have really helped their staff. But we are not, we're not out of the woods. But I think that we're working together. Every single issue that comes up, we try to make sure the state's aware of it. We troubleshoot as much as we can. And I do think it's going to be a long, hard journey. But I think when we get there, we will be in a better place in North Carolina than we were. We will be able to have clients come in and apply for food nutrition services, Medicaid, child care, work first. They'll do it all through one application. Whereas in the past, they've had to come in, go do one application, go back out to the lobby, wait for another worker, and it's different staff that did that. Everyone we're hiring now, we're talking with all of our folks, we're calling them universal workers. And so we have already designated an intake team, and they are taking both FNS and Medicaid applications. They're learning as we go. Lots of bumps in the road. It's been tough. A few tears and a lot of pieces of paper that we're trying to get in. But we our file rooms are full. Our halls are full at our office. We are so out of space. If we can get to a place where everything's on the computer, and our clients, they'll be able to access the system through the computer, do an e-pass application from home. We are moving 4 kiosks into our lobbies, Carol's, with computers on them, so that when they come in, that they'll be able to sit down. Even if they don't have a computer at home, they can sit down and handle their business right there at the computers in the lobby. We're doing everything that we can to make this work. We don't want to go backwards. It's been a long, hard journey. We don't want to go backwards. I'm trying to stay positive. Our staff are trying to stay positive, and we're doing the very best that we can. And the few cases that we have where we've issued benefits late, we certainly, the minute someone calls us, I get some of those calls, Matt gets a lot of those calls, we certainly jump right on those situations and try to make sure that we take care of them as quickly as we possibly can.
Any other questions, Cindy?
One thing, Cindy said it, but go back and underline it, the effort the staff in Alexander County has put in to get the system working. You'd have to be there and watch them a little bit to to understand, but they really have put in more than you could say was your job, and do appreciate what they've done.
Absolutely. I can't say enough about that. For weeks and weeks when we first started, our staff, and remember, our economic services staffs, they're great people. They are not degreed positions. They worked from 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night for weeks, literally weeks. And that's really hard. I mean, it's hard to tolerate that and have life outside of the agency. And so I can't say enough about the supervisors or the staff. They have done a excellent job. And we
They're-
meet weekly.
Right.
We make sure we meet with them weekly. One of the things that I saw happening up front was, the morale and the toughness of that situation. And so we started meeting weekly with them, bringing them together just for 45 minutes, taking that time, an hour, out of their day and talking about what is the big struggle for this week, and making sure we put that one behind us and tackle the next one. And that has, if they can see that I care and that we are in this thing together, they can keep going, and they are. So I really appreciate you asking about it, because
Well, I just
it'll
wondered
mean a
about,
lot
because
to
I
them.
know in the meeting that I was in, the Secretary of Health had said that she was going to, they were going to hire additional people to come to the counties to assist in this transition, to help, because the process was slower and people didn't understand, and they were trying to do everything they could to move it along for the counties to for the transition. And I'm just wanting to see, make sure that all that was going as planned, because she appeared to me to be extremely committed to this, to make sure that you folks had the things that you need to be able to complete the transition.
Right, and they've hired people that had no training to
Yes.
take them to Raleigh, to train them, to come back and be our over-the-shoulder support in some counties. But the state gave us the option of sending our own person up there to become an expert. And in the meantime, they're going to hire someone, send them to us, and then we can use them in the county while that other person's gone. So Matt Reese is in training for 3 weeks. He's up there becoming the expert. And Darryl,
I want to see his paperwork when he gets back.
that he's an expert. But Matt's gone so that he'll have the heads up and can teach his staff, and so hopefully that knowledge will roll right down the line. And we will be getting an over-the-shoulder support person, but we'll probably be using them to do more of our casework and using Matt as our expert.
And the reason I'm picking at Matt, he and I picked at him about this for a while, but NC Fast has been in the works for what, 7, 8 years now? And
Many
it's,
more years than that.
Matt at one time had said 10, and then I read somewhere 7 or 8. So it's not something that's just come down the tube and the thing didn't work. They've had a lot of time to try to get it debugged. And the thing that really surprised me when we started talking about it, there are 50 states in the United States that receive federal funds for the very same programs that North Carolina does, that come down to the counties just like it does in North Carolina. And I understand, I have been told that there is not a program working in the other 49 states either. They're all in the same
All in the
mess.
same ship.
Yeah, same mess. And I don't understand why it gets this way. And then the impact is on people out here that really need service, but yet the powers that be didn't realize, there's 50 states here. Why don't we set a program up so that we can monitor? But then again, if I sit here and told you I understood the federal government and the state government, you'd all know I'd lie about stuff, so I'm not gonna say that.
Any other comments? Rick, did you have something you want to say?
No, sir.
Okay, Larry, I appreciate you answering the question. Pass along our thanks to your staff.
Will do. And let me say one more thing. We really appreciate the citizens in this community. We've had a few get mad, really mad. But all in all, they've been very patient with us. And when we talk to them and explain what we're doing, and we're going to try to get to it tomorrow, they're, for the most part, they've been very cooperative and helpful. So it's a partnership all the way around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a motion on the floor to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
You made the motion to.
I seconded it already.
Okay,
I thought he made it.
okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. We are adjourned. Closed session.